Hello everyone, and welcome back to Betrayed. As soon as my unfaithful wife left for a business trip with her lover, I took immediate action. I emptied all our bank accounts and blocked her phone number. The very next day, her mother called me, shouting, "Selfish bastard. Because of you, she can't enjoy her trip with a real man." I smiled and calmly replied, "If he's truly a real man, then he should have no problem paying for her escort services." When I heard her gasp, I knew my words had struck a nerve. I ended the call. What would you do if your spouse, the person you trusted the most, betrayed you? I didn't cry, beg, or let it break me. Instead, I took action. My revenge left her, her lover, and even her family completely speechless. The moment my wife Jessica left for her so-called business trip to New York with her lover, I transferred all the money from our joint accounts into mine, blocked her number, and completely cut her off. But what made the situation even more satisfying was her mother's furious reaction and the sharp response I gave that left her speechless on the other end of the line. My name is Eric. I'm a software engineer from Dallas, Texas. For 8 years, I believed I was happily married to Jessica, who worked as a marketing manager. Together, we built what seemed like a perfect life. A cozy home in the suburbs, 2 nice cars in the driveway, and a relationship that others admired. But slowly, the cracks in our marriage began to appear. Jessica started staying late at work, acting distant, and never letting go of her phone. I tried to ignore the signs, convincing myself I was just imagining things. Little did I know, my so-called happy marriage was nothing more than a carefully built lie waiting to collapse. For years, I believed my relationship with Jessica was built on trust and love. We were that couple everyone looked up to, living a seemingly perfect suburban life in Dallas. I often told myself, we're lucky to have what we have. But over time, things changed. Jessica's warm smile and loving conversations faded away. She became distant. Late nights at work became routine. Her phone was always in her hand, and she would angle the screen away whenever I was around. I kept brushing off the warning signs, telling myself I was just overthinking. But deep down, something didn't feel right. The turning point came one night. Jessica had fallen asleep with her phone beside her. A message notification lit up the screen. Unable to ignore my suspicions any longer, I picked up the phone. My hands trembled as I scrolled through her messages. What I saw shattered my world. Text after text from her lover, full of affectionate words and detailed plans for their upcoming trip to New York, the same trip Jessica had claimed was for work. The betrayal hit me like a freight train. It wasn't just the affair that hurt, it was the cold, calculated lies and how easily she had fooled me. That night, as Jessica slept peacefully next to me, I knew everything had changed. My heart was broken, and my mind raced. I began to plan. A plan that would make sure Jessica faced the full consequences of her betrayal. The moment I uncovered her affair, I felt a storm of emotions. Pain, anger, disbelief. But more than anything, I felt a strong sense of finality. The woman I had loved and trusted for years had made her choice. Now it was time for me to make mine. As I sat in the quiet of our home in Dallas, staring at the heartbreaking messages on her phone, I made a decision that would change everything. I wouldn't cry or demand answers. I wouldn't confront her and give her a chance to lie again. No, that would be too easy. Instead, I would make her feel the true weight of what she had done. I would take back the comfort she had taken for granted while betraying me behind my back. My mind quickly shifted from heartbreak to strategy. The first step was financial. Early the next morning, before Jessica even woke up, I logged into our joint accounts and transferred every penny into my personal account. This wasn't about revenge. It was about taking back control of what I had worked hard to earn. Next, I removed her from my phone plan and blocked her on every platform, calls, texts, social media. I cut her off completely. I didn't want her to have any way to contact me when her world started falling apart. Lastly, I reached out to a few close friends and family members I trusted. I told them the truth, preparing them for the storm that was coming. I knew Jessica would try to twist the story and play the victim, but I wanted to make sure my side was clear from the beginning. With each step I took, I felt stronger. Eric felt a renewed sense of strength and clarity. This wasn't about revenge just for the sake of revenge. It was about taking back the control Jessica had quietly stolen from him through her lies. As the pieces of his plan started falling into place, Eric felt a dark satisfaction. Jessica believed she was heading off on a romantic escape with her lover, completely unaware of the storm waiting for her. This chapter of their story was no longer hers to write. It was his. That moment of firm resolve led directly into the next phase of his plan, where the consequences of Eric's actions would begin to unfold, starting with Jessica's reaction and the fiery phone call from her mother. The morning Jessica left for her business trip to New York, Eric watched her wheel her suitcase to the front door. She was all smiles, acting as if nothing was wrong, hiding behind her carefully rehearsed lies. She kissed him goodbye like everything was normal and walked out the door. He felt a wave of anger rise inside him, but on the outside, he remained calm. The moment her car disappeared down the driveway, Eric launched into action. He knew she had no idea that her lies had been discovered. She likely thought she had fooled him. What she didn't know was that he was about to dismantle the life she had taken for granted. Eric began by logging into their joint bank accounts. His heart was racing as he carefully transferred every last dollar into his personal account. Watching the balance drop to zero wasn't about the money. It was about reclaiming the power she had silently taken from him the moment she chose to betray him. He left just enough behind, enough for her to notice, but not enough to enjoy her luxurious getaway. Next, he blocked her number and removed her from their shared phone plan. He made sure that any attempt to contact him would be useless. He also went through their social media connections, cutting off every link she had to his life. Once everything was done, Eric leaned back and waited. The silence in the house only increased the anticipation. He knew it wouldn't be long before Jessica realized what he had done, and he was ready for the fallout. The image of her sitting in a hotel room with her lover, confused as her credit cards were declined and unable to reach him, brought a bitter smile to his face. Eric didn't feel guilt or regret, only a deep sense of justice. Jessica had made her choice. Now she would have to deal with the consequences. As the hours passed, Eric kept his phone nearby, expecting the storm to begin. He knew Jessica wouldn't stay quiet for long. But what he didn't expect was the call he received the next day, from someone else entirely. This key moment would spark the next stage of events as the true fallout began to unfold. The next morning, as Eric sat sipping his coffee and reflecting on everything he had done, his phone buzzed. His mother-in-law's name lit up on the screen. Eric wasn't surprised. Jessica had likely figured things out by now and had gone crying to her mother for support. Eric let the phone ring for a moment, mentally preparing for the conversation. When he finally answered, her furious voice came through like a storm. "You selfish bastard," she shouted, her voice full of outrage. "Because of you, Jessica can't enjoy her trip with a real man." Eric was stunned for a second, not by the insult, but by her audacity. Here was a woman defending her daughter's betrayal and attacking him for standing up for himself. As she continued her angry rant, calling his actions immature and cruel, Eric leaned back in his chair. A small smirk played on his lips. When she finally paused, Eric responded calmly and clearly. "If he's a real man," he said, his voice firm and sarcastic, "he'll be more than happy to pay for her escort services." The silence on the other end was instant and powerful. Then came a sharp gasp, the sound of someone completely caught off guard. That was enough for Eric. Without waiting for her to say another word, he ended the call. The satisfaction of his words lingered in the air like a quiet victory. That call confirmed it. Eric had regained control. Not only had he taken a stand, but he had also struck a nerve with the very people who thought they could shame or manipulate him into silence. Jessica's betrayal had cost her far more than she ever expected, and her family's outrage only proved that they had underestimated him. Now, with his mother-in-law silenced and Jessica stranded, cut off from him and the resources she once relied on, Eric felt the weight begin to lift from his shoulders. This final confrontation marked the last, satisfying step in his plan. It cleared the path for the story's resolution. The fallout from Eric's actions happened quickly and chaotically, just as he had expected. Jessica, who was likely enjoying the beginning of her secret getaway with her lover, was completely blindsided when her credit cards were declined at the hotel. Confused and frustrated, she tried calling Eric, only to discover that her number had been blocked. Panic must have set in fast as she started putting the pieces together. Her carefully built lie about a business trip had collapsed, and now she was stranded with her lover, with no financial safety net to lean on. But Eric's mother-in-law wasn't done either. After his sharp remark during their phone call, whatever was left of their already tense relationship fell apart. She kept trying to reach him, leaving voicemails and text messages that swung between blaming him for being selfish and begging him to reconsider. To Eric, her desperation was just another reminder of how deeply Jessica's family had enabled her behavior. He ignored every message, refusing to let guilt or manipulation pull him back into their toxic world. Meanwhile, Jessica's lover now had to face the unexpected costs of their trip. No longer just a secret partner in the affair, he was suddenly responsible for everything. The man who had once been eager to steal someone else's wife now had to deal with the real weight of who she was. Eric could only imagine the tension between them as their romantic escape turned into a stressful and uncomfortable mess. In the middle of all this chaos, Eric felt something he hadn't felt in a long time: emotional freedom. For the first time in years, he was no longer carrying the weight of lies, deceit, or the pressure to pretend their marriage was happy. Jessica thought she could have it all: her husband's loyalty and her lover's attention. But in the end, she was left with nothing. Eric, on the other hand, finally felt free. The betrayal that once consumed him was now behind him, replaced by the peace of knowing he had taken back control of his life. This quiet moment of reflection marked the end of Eric's journey. Though the road had been painful, the choices he made helped him reclaim his self-respect and rebuild his future on his own terms. This wasn't just a story of revenge. It was about a man who rose above betrayal to find clarity and strength. As the story came to a close, Eric thought about the difficult lessons he had learned through the pain. He realized that sometimes walking away isn't enough to truly heal. Sometimes, he reflected, they need to feel the weight of what they've done. That's when real closure begins. For Eric, it wasn't about getting even. It was about standing up for himself and making sure Jessica and those who enabled her understood the price of their actions. The emotional damage from the affair had been deep, but by taking back control, Eric was finally able to find peace. He had rebuilt his life piece by piece. No longer trapped in lies or burdened by the expectations of others, he was free to choose happiness for himself. And for the first time in a long time, he was truly content. "I've rebuilt my life," Eric said with a calm confidence. "And I've never been happier." As for Jessica? Well, let's just say she learned the hard way. You don't bite the hand that feeds you. Her betrayal had cost her everything. And losing Eric had taught her a lesson she would never forget. As the story ended, Eric turned to the audience with a message. "What would you have done in my place?" He invited viewers to share their thoughts in the comments below. Then, with a final smile, he said, "Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this one." And with that, Eric's journey came to a close, leaving the audience to think about the meaning of betrayal, the strength it takes to rise above it, and the true power of reclaiming one's life. Thank you for being part of this story. If it moved you, please give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to Narrative Stories. I've noticed many of you enjoy these stories, but haven't subscribed yet. By subscribing, you're not just following a channel, you're joining a community that values powerful and meaningful storytelling. Let's continue exploring these deep journeys together. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you won't miss the next story.